You've made it out of guest house. Now for the hard glitches. Main house is where we'll access the yard, wannabe jigsaw, etc, etc. Getting out of guest house is huge. Our next big turning point in the run will be out of bounds. If you can hit your out of bounds, your run's probably looking pretty good, unless you're pushing a like really intense PB. Dinner will go on like most other cutscenes for about 2.5 minutes. The timer, depending on the quality your game is running at, either the door will glow lightly with a like signifier that there's light registered on the other side now and that the door functions, or you'll have it like shine through as almost a beam across the door. You can also work off of the trigger of Jack shutting the door. Any of those will work and you'll be able to escape from the table at that moment. It's a good time to talk as well if you are going to be playing on PC like I do. I don't typically play with the game at this quality. I play with the game on pretty low settings just to get the maximum amount of frame rate for certain things. Though I also cap my frame rate at like 250 or something. There are certain glitches that are just a lot easier and kind of move like butter at 200 frames, but you don't need to. Everything done in this video is done at 60 frames, so don't worry about it. In the previous video, I talked about 0D, the clean version of the game. If it's not obvious by Lucas's missing arm here, I am not playing the clean version of the game. So you also don't have to worry about like, oh, can I do these things and as fast with the normal game? Yes, you do not have to buy the Japanese version of the game. Alright, so first thing we're going to do here is when we get to the end of the hallway, we're going to force out a grab that Jack does when you're fully turned away from him. So once we get the opening, we're going to full look away from Jack so that he high grabs. We duck back in, grab that hatch key. Now we want to register with the door. This sets up for the cop later, I'll talk about that. We now need to get into the wall break. Marked in purple, that dark spot, you need to just turn around. If Jack is not around the corners you see in the top left, he'll teleport and burst through the wall for you, opening the wall. You don't have to get grabbed by Jack, so mine is a little bit slower in that corner, but it is a significantly faster route, and it also speeds up your future routes for like your out of bounds and stuff like that. So wall break is worth getting down, yet as you could also see, it's almost RNG with Jack's positioning and how he decides to attack and path and stuff like that. But it's not RNG. You can force it most of the time. We'll get into our first real menuing. I keep saying first. But we will be grabbing the items listed on the left here. The Albert 01R, infinite ammo, circular saw, and walking shoes. Every single one of these items are unlocked after you have beaten certain achievements within the game, like beating the game in under 4 hours, etc. When you go to this, there will also be 3 prompts initially. Those are your unlocking for your achievements. You want to just spam 3 through and then grab your items appropriately. Here's where we'll spawn the cop by running to that pillar in the kitchen. This is actually set up due to us touching the door previously. If we don't touch that door and only grab the hatch key, we have to run all the way to the end of the hallway, touch the door, come back, and then the cop spawns. This didn't used to be the fastest version of this route even a couple months ago either, so there may be a faster version in the future, so always keep your eye out. Because the previous one had a similar one where we touched the door, but then we ran to the painting that's in the hallway. Now we know that we can run into the kitchen.
ふざけないでくれ。
いいか、さっきも言ったが、この辺りで失踪事件が頻発してるんだ。疑ってるわけじゃないが、あんたみたいなよそ者が関わってないともまだ言い切れないからな。
わかったよ。何でも話
The
せ。
Jack fight coming up, I have a specific strategy. Everyone has others shop around for boss fight strats. There's a lot of different options and it really depends on what you can get consistent. I like to start out with one Albert shot on, then we run by Jack, pick up the Glock, and then we're going to do 5 enhanced shots into Jack. At that point, Jack is going to trigger the words you want to hear. You and the horse you rode in on. At that point, Jack is going to charge at his car and start that cutscene, which is what we want. He's going to break the scaffolding, or it's not scaffolding, like railing shelving unit in here. The key to this is the shelving unit next to the car does have a chance to be unbreakable and you have to lead Jack around it. This is typically a run killer, so be prepared for it. Remember, 1 Albert, 5 Glock.
おい、こんなとこ早く出よう。
いいか、まずこんな夜中に一人で何
The technique that I was using with the Glock is that in this game, if you shoot while hip firing and then aim in and shoot again, you can shoot very fucking quickly, way faster than the game normally allows. Now you can do this with great timing, back and forth. You can aim in, shoot, aim out, shoot, aim in, shoot, back and forth. You'll see me using a strategy. I'll also shoot him the moment he gets done breaking it. I actually hit a piece of metal, so careful not to do that. But the reason for shooting it is so that he doesn't finish his animation and stand there like he did. Jack will charge you here, you can't kill him, you just need to wait for the car to blow up. I also used the saw the entire way to kill Jack, which you could obviously see, hence why it wasn't that big of a deal. You can shoot Jack in the legs or just kite him during this sequence, you just really are waiting for the timer of the car to blow up. This is a small strat, a nice little feel, but once we get up here, we're going to go ahead and unscrew the golden ox from the statue and then move the shelf while it's still being unscrewed. This saves us a couple seconds. And just feels nicer because you're not standing there waiting when you're supposed to be speedrunning. We can use the wall break for the first time. We'll use it again later, but we can go ahead and save ourselves some time by pathing through the kitchen. You'll also notice that my cursor, you can either go 2 to the right and down for the door, for the statue, to input it every single time. Or if you have time during the Jack fight, when he says like the car is crashing and it's going to blow up, any of that time, you can use his downtime to move your cursor there ahead of time so you can just mash E on the door like we did previously. Menuing's huge. Here is the first start of our OOB and also where you will restart the game to practice from. You can shoot Jack and go by the right. I like to go around to the left of the tub here, drop straight down, and then we're going to go through our wall break. I'm going to show you a 5-step process. It may look a little confusing. Feel free to pause the video if so. But these are the 5 steps to get Jack set up for the out of bounds. Now I do a little menuing, just copy it. All right, first step, we need to get the statue in. If you are not putting the statue in, the bird statue, and finishing it, you will not unlock the next area and you will be locked out. Your out of bounds will not be working. We then need to draw Jack into the room. That sounds unimportant, but it actually, like, Jack can get lost and you can waste several minutes if you're just waiting on him. Then we're gonna head to the top of the stairs. We want to position ourselves right where the blue marker is, and then we're gonna aim down. Once Jack is in about that position on third step or so, we're gonna shoot him in his left leg. This is gonna cause Jack to fall into a crouched position. At that moment, we are going to run by Jack on his right side of the stairs, or on the right side of the stairs, and move into the position marked in blue in the final marker. If we are there and Jack goes for the same grab we forced out earlier, the overhead grab, which he will because we'll be facing away from him, he is going to move Ethan slightly through the wall. Follow my pathing when out of bounds pretty accurately, or you're gonna fall infinitely to your death. It'll respawn you at the start, but just kind of follow the pathing around the side of the house here. This is how we are going to then glitch back in bounds, because once again, the walls are still there. We didn't change that. We're gonna want to trace along the outside of this black barrier here, and then right at the point of the top of the door, we are going to hit escape and let the room load. We do not want to retry here, we just want to hit escape. But we'll automatically fall, you don't have to hit any keys, you trace along the top, you'll fall, you want to hit escape and let your red room, or the workshop is what it's actually called, but the red keycard room, load in for you. That room will not load if you do not do the bird key again, so make sure you're doing it. Now we're picking up all the normal stuff. We need to go get the key, move through. Now we're heading for the red dog. This Jack fight's pretty simple. There are faster routes than you'll see me use. I've used the one that I've been using forever. I honestly need to kind of update it, but once again, boss fights are an ever-changing thing, so always be sure to kind of take a look at how other people are doing it, because there are some very, very efficient and reliable routes. This one is my reliable route. It will work every time if you do decide to emulate my fight. You can shoot Jack before he even goes for the swing there, as I did, but he doesn't even have to trigger a swing. You can just shoot him. I was a little slow on it. Now we want to make sure we grab the chainsaw while we're also looking at him sawing him down. The saw has the highest DPS of any weapon in the game, so don't be tricked into thinking that like sometimes the gun's going to do a bit more for you. Now I want to move the 3 dog heads for like ease of movement as well, because we will be using the chainsaw and then picking up the scorpion key. You want your cursor on the chainsaw, because once you use it and it will be destroyed and emptied from your inventory, scorpion key fills that slot and you can open up the shortcut with a mash. Once again, menuing is very, very important to this game when you start to try and smooth out your like fuck-ups. When you're initially learning the game, don't worry too much about inventory. It won't cost you more than a couple minutes, which in a like 2-hour run, which is what you're probably going to be running, it's not that long. You can take a second to look at your inventory. Don't even worry about it. Opening up this shortcut is massive, like not only for grabbing the scorpion key obviously, but we will be using this shortcut exclusively when coming down here from now on, so make sure you feel pretty familiar with the basement area's layout. It can seem confusing until you just kind of run around it for a little bit. Scorpion door means that we have all 3 dog heads, and that means that you have officially beaten main house. And now we move on to the yard, Marguerite and all of her bugs.